Another option for the Toronto Blue Jays is off the board as Rhys Hoskins has signed a 2-year deal with the Milwaukee Brewers. A lot of money, a lot more than I was expecting him to get on the open market. But this leaves the Blue Jays with a few options available to fill that DH position. So we'll break that down and much more in this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Now, we're waiting for the Blue Jays to do something significant here. Feels like we've been waiting for years now, and nothing has come to fruition. We've seen a lot of guys take it into their own hands and really take their offseason seriously. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has lost a lot of weight, and he looks like he's in the best shape of his life. Alek Manoah looks like he's in the best shape of his life. He's throwing bullpens. His slider looks like it's biting at a pretty ridiculous clip. So all the signs are pointing towards everyone that needed to be better last year being better this season. But the Blue Jays still have some holes to fill. They don't have an everyday third baseman, unless we count IKF as that. They don't have an everyday DH, and they're missing a fourth outfielder. They just are missing a few more pieces here, and some fairly significant pieces as well. And one more is off the board with Rhys Hoskins signing with the Milwaukee Brewers. 2 years, $34 million, Nick. That's a pretty significant amount of money. I thought he was going to get a 1-year prove-it deal, but it ends up being 2 years with the Brewers, and he's going to mash in the middle of that lineup. And it doesn't leave the Blue Jays with too many options that may have been better than Rhys Hoskins here.
Yeah, and I've been defending Rhys Hoskins because no major moves have happened yet, but it happened. So quick reminder, hit the subscribe button, though, before we do get into it. Now, Peter, you mentioned it. Rhys Hoskins, Brewers, 2 years, $34 million, $17 a year with an opt-out after the first season. And I mean, hopefully this means that the dominoes are going to start to fall, but for a lot of Jays fans out there, they're very, whether it's worried, frustrated, upset, whatever it is, a lot of Jays fans wanted Rhys Hoskins. He was a very good player back in 2022 when he did play. But Peter, what are your initial reactions on this? Are you worried? Are you as worried as I see some Jays fans out there? Do you think that, I'll get into some more reports in a minute regarding Jorge Soler. He seems to be the option for the Jays, but some Jays fans are starting to get worried now as we can't really say that no movement is happening anymore.
Well, I'll preface this by saying that Rhys Hoskins was never my personal choice to be the DH, the everyday DH. I know that maybe there's less risk factor involved with giving him a 1 or a 2-year deal, but he missed all of last season. So he's going to take a while before he's acclimated to the big league level again. And of course, that's what spring training is for, but you don't really know how he's going to bounce back. It was a pretty significant injury, obviously not the end of the world to tear your ACL as a baseball player, but still, it takes time to relearn your process and just relearn how to be comfortable in that box again. And I don't expect Rhys Hoskins to exactly hit the ground running with the Brewers next season. So he wasn't at the top of my list, but I am concerned because I see teams that are not really expected to contend, like the Milwaukee Brewers, making these moves. And that's what's concerning to me as a Blue Jay fan, as a reporter. I'd like to call myself that. I guess I could. But that's what's concerning to me, Nick, that the Brewers, who are a team that is severely under the radar, who are not expected to do much of anything next season, are making this move, are kind of putting their chips in the middle of the table. They're not going all in. They're not trading Jackson Chourio, their top prospect. They're making moves here, subtle moves to make their ball club immediately better, and the Blue Jays have yet to do that. They've made a couple of depth moves in bringing back Kevin Kiermaier, in signing Isaiah Kiner-Falefa to a 2-year deal. But other than that, nothing. Yariel Rodriguez, if you want to count it, hasn't even been made official yet. Knowing our luck, Nick, I wouldn't be surprised if he can't even make his way to Canada. That's the way the offseason has been going for this Blue Jays club. And I'm waiting for them to do something. And as the days go by here, I'm not sure that something is going to happen. We keep fooling ourselves, but we've been fooled all offseason long. And I don't want to be fooled a third time in a row.
I think you're probably right. That being said, you look at some of the other AL East teams, and nothing has really happened there either. But when you're looking at the Blue Jays and Rhys Hoskins, we discussed him at length, and I did not think he was going to get a 2-year deal. But you mentioned it. Teams that have the money to spend, but you wouldn't really think we're going to go after some of the big fish, are going after them. $34 million is a lot for a guy coming off of injury. You mentioned his last full season, a sub-800 OPS. That being said, I don't think the Blue Jays would have wanted to match this, and even if they did, I think some rumors are coming out that Rhys wanted to play first base full time. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense. Now, Peter, delving into what could be next, we know there have been reports. John Heyman on his recent live stream said that the Jays are the favorites to land Soler. He is the first team, and the Jays are the first team mentioned regarding Soler. You now have Peterson left, Soler left, JD Martinez, and I guess Justin Turner if you want to go potentially on that route. For me personally, I think Jorge Soler, is the obvious choice, I think, and we've been saying all along that's who we think the Jays are going to get, but do you have a thought on this? Do you have a ranking based on these guys, or do you think that, like you said, they're not going to get any of them?
I think JD Martinez is the least risky of those, and then I would probably put Justin Turner right behind him. Although Jorge Soler would be maybe the highest ceiling of them, and he hit 36 home runs last year. He's got immense power, light tower power, but he's been inconsistent in his big league career. He's had some great seasons. He's had a couple of very bad seasons as well, and you're not sure where you're going to get out of him. And he's probably going to be the most expensive out of those four names that we just mentioned over there. He's probably going to command a 3, maybe even a 4-year deal at $15 to $20 million per. I'd personally be comfortable giving it to him because it isn't my money yet again. But we also got to remember that the Blue Jays kind of they gotta know what the mandate is here, and is this a 2-year window? Does this extend beyond that? And is that going to change the way that they approach this free agency? Are they only going to give out 1 or 2 year deals and then go from there when Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s contract is up and Bo Bichette's contract is up? Those are the questions that we don't know the answers to, Nick, and that's what's concerning to me. Are they going to go after JD, sign him to a 1 or maybe a 2-year deal, and he's going to ride off into the sunset after that, or are they going to go big or go home with Jorge Soler? Those are the big questions, and hopefully the Jays front office has some answers because it's starting to get quite concerning, and we've yet to see any of the positions that need to be addressed this offseason.
Yeah, third base still open. Fourth outfielder still open. DH still open. And we saw this report a few days ago. Again, from John Heyman, Jorge Soler, JD Martinez, Justin Turner, and Rhys Hoskins is heating up. This is obviously before the signing. And the Jays are the front runner with Soler, but I don't know. We've heard front runner before, and it's starting to worry me a little bit. And I agree. I didn't really think the Jays were going to be the team to get Rhys Hoskins. I think they want someone a bit more, not established per se, but what they know they're going to get. But at the same time, Cordy Bellinger is still out there. Like, a lot of these players are still out there, and it just becomes a bit interesting now because Bellinger's yet to sign, Soler's yet to sign. We're almost in February. Spring training is coming very, very fast, and a lot of these guys are still open, and I wonder if that is due to the high price they're demanding, because I did not think that Hoskins was going to get a $34 million contract. If that was the case, I didn't even think that the Jays would consider that, and I don't know if they did. I feel like if you're spending that kind of money, you'd almost rather go for a guy like Jorge Soler. But any thoughts before we wrap up, and hopefully Ross makes a move here soon?
Yeah, well, there also is an opt-out at the end of that first year, so if he has a good season, he can hit the open market again and cash in on a multi-year deal. I think that was the thought process behind him signing that contract, and it's a good opportunity for him to play every day in a lineup that really struggled last year offensively. So it makes sense for Rhys Hoskins, but it is concerning that there are teams that are not expected to be good next year. The Brewers are expected to shed payroll. Corbin Burns was on the trading block for a while there. They're going to be without Brandon Woodruff for the entire season. So it's looking bleak in Milwaukee, but they still decided to go out and spend more money than the Blue Jays have this offseason, and that to me is not a good sign. Not a good sign. I want to be optimistic, but it's hard because the first spring training game is 1 month away, Nick, and there's some considerable holes on this roster yet to be filled, and time is ticking. Time is ticking to fill them, and the options are dwindling as well. Rhys Hoskins is off the table. I'm sure it won't be long before Jorge Soler or JD Martinez or Justin Turner or even Jock Peterson, for that matter, are signed elsewhere because the Blue Jays are just asleep at the wheel here.
Hopefully it is signing with the Jays. But that'll wrap it up. If you want to check out our video from yesterday, click on your screen now. Let us know in the comments who you wanted of these guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.